The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask is the most mysterious Zelda game. It is completely filled with hundreds of unanswered questions. One of the biggest is exactly what is the Land of Termina. Termina is the setting of the Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. It is accessed within a large cave below the Lost Woods through what appears to be a portal. Is Termina a dream? Is it a different country? Is it a parallel world? Or in the case of today's video, is it the Hyrule from the adult timeline? Yes, I know this sounds absolutely insane, however I think I can provide some points for this theory of mine. If you end up enjoying this video, consider leaving a like. That way it tells me that you have enjoyed this video. Also leave a comment too, giving your opinion on this theory. Anyway, with that out of the way, let us begin. Firstly, I would like to explain that these connections between both Termina and the world of Wind Waker could actually be intentional. The Wind Waker released only 2 years after Majora's Mask release, implying that at one point they were both likely worked on at the same time. I would also like to bring up that Wind Waker most likely takes hundreds, if not thousands of years in the future from Ocarina of Time. This is because the events of Ocarina of Time are presented as ancient legend. Anyway, with that out of the way, let's really start the theory now. The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask was developed within a year, thanks to Miyamoto challenging Aonuma to develop this game within a year. Due to this, Majora's Mask runs on the same engine as Ocarina of Time, sharing assets and even character models. Most of the characters in Majora's Mask look identical to their counterparts in Ocarina of Time. People use this point to theorise that Termina is a parallel world, or it's a dream of Link's. However, what if these characters were descendants instead? We know that Wind Waker takes place hundreds if not thousands of years after Ocarina of Time, allowing some characters to have descendants. This could allow the possibility that Terminians are in fact descendants of their Hyrulean counterparts. This is a trope commonly seen in media, where the descendants or ancestor of a character looks identical to the original. We've seen this recently with Pokemon Legends Arceus, where the characters look identical to their descendants. For example, Cyllene and Cyrus. This would explain why there are 2 Malon counterparts and 3 Ingo counterparts. All of those characters are descendants. Furthermore, it could explain why the Milk Barman is not Cremia or Romani's father, like he is supposed to be in Ocarina of Time. They are likely distant cousins in this timeline. Now, let's look at the technology. Technology in the adult timeline is fairly advanced compared to most Zelda games. Coloured photos have been invented, and steam power is used in both boats and trains. This sort of technology is rarely seen in other Zelda games. However, one it is seen in is Majora's Mask. Mechanical clocks filled with gears are found all over Termina. Coloured photographs have also been invented with the pictogram. There is a clear technological connection between these 2 worlds. Let's move away from characters and technology, and let's look towards the lore. We know that between Ocarina of Time and Wind Waker, there was a great flood that destroyed Hyrule, forcing its inhabitants to flee to the mountains. Before the flood, the inhabitants of Hyrule were hoping and praying that the Hero of Time would come to save them. When he didn't come, they looked to the 3 golden goddesses. It's odd that they turned to the Hero of Time, isn't it? This event likely took place several hundred years after Ocarina of Time, as they were praying for the Hero of Time to save them, as if he were a divine being. If these events took place only a few years after Ocarina of Time, they wouldn't be treating the Hero of Time as this divine being, as he would have only been a recent hero of their people, not an ancient hero. This is why I find it odd that they would pray to him to come save them. Since the Great Floods likely happened a few hundred years after Ocarina, it would be safe to say that the Hero of Time would have been long dead by this point. So why would they pray to him to save them? Wow, what if he saved them twice? What if Majora's Mask took place between these 2 events, maybe 100 or 200 years after Ocarina? When the moon was falling on the land of Termina, a hero with the power of time travel, the Hero of Time, returned after several centuries of disappearance, and stopped the moon from crashing down. After doing this, he disappeared once again afterwards. This explains why the people of Hyrule expected the Hero of Time to come save them. He already did it twice. Let's look deeper into the culture of Termina. Termina, as a civilization, is very different to Hyrule. Not only are they a democracy, they also have different religious beliefs. The people of Termina worship the 4 giants and the goddess of time, instead of the 3 golden goddesses. This could look like a point against the fact that Termina is not in the adult timeline Hyrule. However, religion and cultures around the world change with time. The four giants may have assisted the inhabitants of Hyrule at one point, causing a change in their beliefs. We know that the three golden goddesses must have existed in Termina because the symbol of the Triforce is found in the ruins of Akarna. The reason the Hyruleans may have turned to the golden goddesses during Ganon's invasion before the flood was because they could have been the last deities the inhabitants could turn to, resulting in the Great Flood. Let's look at the Goddess of Time. In Termina, the Goddess of Time is the primary goddess. The Carnival of Time is the festival celebrating and honouring her. Perhaps after Ocarina of Time, after the hero of Time saved Hyrule, the Goddess of Time became more integral to the people of Hyrule because of how Time saved them from a ruthless dictator, explaining why time is so important to their culture. This also explains why clocks are found all over Termina and why all the inhabitants are so fixated on schedules, including the postman. There is one problem, however. Termina is a democracy, while Hyrule is a monarchy. This next section is incredibly speculative, but it's all I have to explain this one issue. We know that by the time the Great Flood happened, Hyrule was still a monarchy. How would that work, however, if Majora's Mask was set before Wind Waker? Well, I have a small theory about that. After Ocarina of Time, I believe the royal family rebuilt the castle to the east, towards Kakariko and the Zora's Domain, the future location of Akarna. Between Ocarina and Majora's Mask, the people of Hyrule could have wanted change, going to war with those who have sided with Hyrule. In Akarna, the kingdom went to war with the Garo, a ninja-like race that lived in the shadows, similar to the Sheikah. Perhaps the Garo had defected Sheikah, not unlike the Yiga, who aimed to overthrow the royal family. Upon emerging victorious, the people of Hyrule established a democracy, changing the name of their kingdom to Termina. Now, how would the royal family be re-established? Well, after the events of Majora's Mask, perhaps the people of Termina were disappointed by their government's lack of action in the face of a falling moon, causing the royal family to become established yet again. I know this was quite speculative, but this is all I've got. Now let's look at the locations in Termina that are similar to the locations in Hyrule. I've already explained the east with Ikana Canyon, so let's look at the north. Unlike in Ocarina, the mountains to the north are not as perilous and active as Death Mountain. This can be explained with the fact that over the years, Death Mountain had calmed down, becoming less active, making the surrounding area more hospitable. We know that it's still active, however, as in the Snow Peak Temple, there is still lava within it. Now, let's look at the southern swamplands where the Lost Woods and Kokiri Forest should be. We don't see any Kokiri or the Deku Tree down here. However, we do see a location identical to the Lost Woods. This area acts the exact same, it even plays the same theme in the background. I believe that somewhere in there, the Deku Tree and the Kokiri are still living their lives in peace. Now let's look to the west. In Majora's Mask, there is a large ocean located in the exact same position where the Gerudo Desert and Lake Hylia would be located. At first this may disprove the theory. However, this is the location where I believe the strongest piece of evidence for Termina being located in the Wind Waker Hyrule is found. Firstly, we know that the Gerudo Desert was once the Lanayru Sea seen in Skyward Sword. Both locations are found to the east of Hyrule. Conditions may have changed enough again that the ancient sea may have returned. Furthermore, the Zora living by the ocean may not make as little sense as you may have initially thought. Lake Hylia is heavily connected to the Zora. Its waters come from their domain after all. We've seen the Zora live there in other Zelda games including Twilight Princess, so it's not a massive stretch to assume that they have moved here at some point. Also, the weird scientist man at the lake was also found in a similar spot in Termina in the Great Bay. Perhaps after Yoshi came back, his descendants kept put at this location of research. Moreover, the Gerudo Pirates are located to the northeast of the Great Bay, the same place that the Gerudo were found in the Ocarina of Time. The Forsaken Fortress in Wind Waker is also located to the northeast of the Great Sea, towards the same place that the Gerudo were located in both games. Perhaps the pirates that used to inhabit the fortress were the Gerudo Pirates. I'm now going to go through a couple of smaller points. In Majora's Mask, we know that Skull Kid was most likely from Termina. He was in the story of the Four Giants after all. However, we also know that he's from Hyrule too, as he's the Skull Kid Link gives his mask to. Skull Kid barely recognises Link at the end of Majora's Mask, which is odd as we know it's only been a few months for Link, so the Skull Kid should have been able to recognise Link better. We know that Skull Kids are likely immortal because they're already dead, and we know Skull Kid was around long enough to be put in Terminian legend. So what if the Skull Kid in Majora's Mask is the Skull Kid from Ocarina, but several hundreds of years older, as he is from Termina? That would explain why he barely recognises Link. It's been so long for him. I also want to bring up the blacksmiths in Snow Peak. Their names are on the sword of Phantom Ganon in Wind Waker. This could possibly be used as evidence. However, this is probably just an Easter egg. The final thing I want to bring up today is the Fierce Deity. In my opinion, I feel as though he is the key to this theory. In an interview with Aonuma, the identity of the Fierce Deity was questioned. Aonuma replied with this: "The best I can give you is just a suggestion. The best way to think about it is that the memories of all the people of Termina are found inside the Fierce Deity mask." What if he's referring to the memory of the Hero of Time? What if the Fierce Deity is what the people of Termina view the ancient Hero of Time as? Just like the Fierce Deity, the Hero of Time appeared out of nowhere and quickly took care of Ganondorf, defeating him without breaking a sweat. Perhaps this idea of the Hero of Time was the thing that caused the creation of the mask. Furthermore, upon receiving the mask, Majora tells you this: "Let's play good guys against bad guys." Yes, let's play that. Are you ready? You're the bad guy, and when you're bad, you just run. Maybe Majora calls Link the bad guy that always runs, because he did run. He disappeared immediately after the events of Ocarina. To Majora, this could have been seen as running away. To Majora, this means that he's the bad guy. Well, that's it. That's my quick, wacky theory on why Termina could be in the world of Wind Waker. I hope you enjoyed this video and this weird perspective on the theory of where Termina is located. I'm really happy that I've been able to talk so much about my second favourite Zelda game today. My theory videos do take a lot of time and effort, so it would be appreciated if you would leave a like. It lets me know that you enjoyed the video. Anyway, thanks for watching. Goodbye.